Hey, boys and girls, Mr. Mac. Today we're going to be doing Module 13, Lesson 4, which is comparing and ordering decimals. So we've got our I can statement that says I can use place value to compare and order decimals to the thousandths. Let's jump right in. Step it out. The field goal percentage in basketball is found by dividing the number of baskets made by the number of baskets attempted. Hector compares the field goal percentages for Thomas and Lucas. Compare each place value working from left to right until you find a digit that is different. In which place value are the digits different? So I've made a little setup here of Thomas and Lucas. I see Thomas has 0 and 478 thousandths. Percentage, and then Lucas has 0 and 473 thousandths for his shooting percentage. So they said to start in the leftmost place value column and keep going until you find a number that is different. So in the ones place, we both have zeros. In the tenths place, we both have fours. In the hundredths place, we both have sevenths. We get to the thousandths place, and that's where we see an 8 and a 3. So now if we're comparing them, okay, we're going to say, well, which is greater, 8 or 3? Well, the 3 is definitely less, and the 8 is definitely greater. So if we are comparing them, we would say that 0 and 478 thousandths are greater than 0 and 473 thousandths, because the 0 and 47 was the same on both. 0 and 47, 0 and 47, and then really we just worry about comparing the 8 and the 3. All right, so that is how that will work. And now you have to remember, guys, the symbols usually start to confuse us. We always have the idea of thinking that this is like a Pac-Man and he's eating the greater number. So some people use that. Some people use like an alligator, so they make little teeth here so that the alligator's eating the bigger number, but it's always open to the bigger number. All right, so 0 and 478 thousandths is greater than 0 and 473 thousandths. If I wanted to flip them and say 0 and 473 thousandths and compare that to 0 and 478 thousandths, my symbol then would switch as well, because it would say it was now less than. This it could be the Pac-Man again, or you can see that this kind of looks like an L for LESS. So 473 thousandths is less than 0 and 478 thousandths. So that's the quick and easy lesson on comparing them. Now we're going to move forward, and we're going to order them from greatest to least. Okay, so now it says the table shows field goal percentages of these three players. We've got Ortega, Robinson, and Alibi. So what is the greatest place value position in which you find a digit that is different? So when we look at the chart here, I love listing them on top of each other because it's easier for me to see and deal with. And I'm actually going to make it even easier. I'm going to make this a bigger. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Okay, so we see that they all have a 0 in the ones place, and they all have a 4 in the tenths place. But when we look at the hundredths place, we see a 4, a 5, and a 4. So when they ask you what place do you find one that's different, we would say the hundredths. And I'm just going to put an H just because it's a lot faster. Part B, it says use your answer in part A. Which player has the greatest digit? Well, we know that Robinson has the greatest digit. He has a 5, and the others have a 4. So then we know Robinson would be the greatest value. Then it says move to the next lesser place value position and compare those digits. So now we're going to go into the next place, and we see that we already did it Robinson. So we're done with him. Now we look at the 9 and the 7. Alibi has the 9 and Ortega has a 7. So Alibi's is the next greatest. All right, so when it says to order the players by name, by their field goal percentage, I'll type this one in. Okay, we found out we knew that Robinson was first, then Alibi, and then Ortega. Okay, so this would be our answer for greatest to least. So in these examples, guys, you're doing the same type of thing you're doing when you're comparing, except you're starting from the columns they have in common, and when you find one that's different, you're finding the biggest number, that would be the greatest. And then you would go to the next column to find the next number that they have different. And then that would be the greatest. Okay, so in this problem, we said, okay, Robinson had the greatest because they all had 4s, but he had a 5 in the hundredths place. and then the other guys had 4s. So we moved on to compare Alibi and Ortega, and Alibi had a 9 in the thousands, and Ortega had a 7 in the thousands. So that meant that Alibi was going to be next in our list here. All right. We've compared numbers before. We've ordered numbers before. Now we're just doing it with decimals, and a lot of the things are really exactly the same as you've done with whole numbers. Okay. So hopefully that'll help you with our lesson today. Take care, guys.